In this module, we're going to start looking at our second section of project work planning. The Section 1 topics we covered were budgets, accounting, work planning, and BIM planning. Let's start off by discussing managing scope and services. The definition of a project scope is essentially the owner's design requirements, specifically for program, site, area, volume, and, of course, levels of quality for the project. This is a definition that's per the Architect's Handbook of Professional Practice. Similarly, scope creep is slightly different. This is where the pressure of owner interests or demands, or circumstances or discoveries on the project, render the project to grow beyond the contracted original scope. So how do we avoid any kinds of conflicts with scope control? Well, we might ask questions like, is the scope defined clearly? Do all parties agree to the scope? How established and clear is the method of modifying the scope in the agreement? And are the budget and schedule changing to accommodate scope changes? It's a good idea to use the agreement to judge whether or not a proposed addition justifies an additional service. There are certain changes to the project that fall within the scope of contracted services, but in some cases our agreements allow for additional services that either expand the scope in terms of budget or schedule. But of course, bear in mind that it is okay to do a small favor now and then as well. Not every change request that comes in from your client over your email must be an additional service. A good way of managing the control of the scope, of course, is to do what's called milestone checks. In milestone checks, they're basically ongoing and periodic reviews of the work. Milestones, of course, present a pretty unique opportunity to quantify any additions to the project because you can look back to what happened during that phase or that period of time and measure whether or not anything's gone outside of the scope in that frame. Small projects, of course, may be easily reviewed at the project manager's best judgment. In terms of small projects, these could be easily reviewed at the best judgment of the project manager or whoever is in control of the project.